Is Tesla facing a reputational problem? Is it something we should even concern ourselves with? Are EV sales really down? Are all sales down? These questions and more will shock and amaze and delight you. I doubt, but it's worth finding out. I'm Brian. Welcome to Futurasa. So I am joined by my good friend Mark here from the Tesla Life. Head on over to their show. Check it out. Mark has been an EV owner, a hybrid owner, a EV enthusiast, a powerful and important member of the community, and an advocate for a very long time. And I appreciate you taking the time out to spend it with us.
Thank you so much, Brian.
Yeah. So what's your problem? No, I'm just kidding. I just figured after an intro like that, I had to flip it back around.
Let's get real, right?
Could we get real for 2 seconds? The sun is not in my eyes today, but if you can hear a fan in the background, it's because I'm still quite warm. So getting into it, Mark, you shared with me this story that I hadn't seen, but I'd seen an earlier version of the same thing. This is a story that continues. Sixt shrinks its electric car fleet on disappointing demand. Who is Sixt?
Sixt is a rental fleet owner in Europe that made a little bit of a bet on EV for rental units. And they have found that there has been, they say, some opposition to renting these type of cars. They indicate that their consumer demand is a little bit different than what they expected. A lot more people than they anticipated don't want to drive the BEV. They'd rather have a nice car. I don't know if I believe this completely, but this is something that they're indicating that their customers are telling them.
Last year, they had just under 10,000 BEVs out of 170,000. So about, what would that be, 6%-ish. Not an impressive showing. So I would argue that this is not a Tesla problem, and it's probably not an EV problem. From what I've seen, and you can tell me if you've heard different reports, the rental car companies are not good at renting EVs. They don't make charging clear. They give you the car either much too low or much too high. So high, they'll give it to you at 90% and say, bring it back within 2% of this, or we're going to charge you $40. Oh, and the nearest charger is 10% away from here. It's like, guys, I'm going to spend all day charging that last 10%, that last 3% just to bring it back, and you might still ding me. Come on.
Yeah, it's something that that they're struggling with. This is a new venture for them, really. They've been used to renting gasoline cars forever, but the EV is a little bit of a different game. You've got some customer education that's required. You have some instruction that is typically required about charging to the customer, and they have to know where to charge. Where can I charge to get it back to this location within the 80% I'm supposed to bring it back with? What are the solutions for me to do that? And they're really limited, based on my experience at Hertz, with the type of information they give you.
Absolutely. Had I not been an EV owner when I rented from Hertz, it would have been... Actually, I don't think I was an EV owner, but I knew enough about it already. I don't remember when it was, but they do not make it clear or easy. So very, very frustrating. And this says that their strategy mirrors that of Hertz.
Yeah, and it's interesting that they mentioned Hertz because, of course, we heard recently that Hertz has decided to reduce their EV fleet recently a second time. So we heard about the initial one. This apparently is a little bit of a second release. So anyone out there that's looking for a used Tesla and is close to a Hertz dealership, you may want to keep your eyes peeled for some great deals, especially being able to claim a used EV credit at Hertz as well.
You would be able to. If you're eligible for any credit, then you would be eligible for this because you only get one used EV credit per VIN number, and these have not been sold as used before. So this is 6 days ago. Hertz accelerates the sale of Tesla vehicles. And when you told me this was the second round, I thought, haven't there been more? Here's one from June 6th. Here's one from April 25th, May 16th, January of this year. So it appears that they are continuing to sell off the Teslas and not replace them. Again, I would ask you, do you believe that this is a Tesla problem, an EV problem, or more of a Hertz problem?
I believe it's a Hertz problem because they did buy the bulk majority of their purchases were Teslas, but they bought Polestars, they bought other vehicles as well. They're not really saying that in the article that these other EVs are for sale. They just use the generic name EV and go with that. So I'm wondering if the stable of all the cars, the Polestars are being put up for sale as well. I'm kind of thinking it is because this is something that Hertz did not quite understand when it comes to how EVs flip, how long you hold on to an EV compared to a gas car. Hertz has a clear playbook when it comes to a gas car. You hold it for 2 years and you sell it before it hits 30,000 miles, and that's it. That's the playbook. But with an EV, with the less maintenance, they could go longer. They haven't tried to do that. They just tried to flip it initially at their 2-year point, under 30,000 miles. And for whatever reason, the market had fluctuated somewhat when it comes to used vehicles. And at that point, they lost a boatload of money.
I love that you say for whatever reason, because we both know the reason. It was the supply crunch, but getting into that is a whole video on its own, which we've already done. Looking at, let's keep moving here because we've got a lot of ground to cover. And by the way, tomorrow in our video, I'm going to share with you one additional reason why people are actually buying the BZ4X. Yes, I talked to an owner. I saw him at the convenience store. I was waiting to buy my new coffee pot from a stranger. That's how coffee pot transactions take place. And a gentleman pulled up in his Buzz Forks and I got my answer. Wow. So we'll discuss that tomorrow. Yeah, that is on the ground reporting, Mark.
Man, you are just on the street getting the pulse of people with your questions.
It's also how I gain new subscribers. I do it one at a time at Superchargers. It's so much work. Now, this is less encouraging. Large company says it won't purchase any more Teslas due to Elon Musk's erratic behavior. Now, this is a second biggest pharmacy chain in Germany, Rossman. Can you tell me what's going on here?
Yeah, Rossman had a deal for fleet purchases from Tesla, and the son of the owner started to see Elon's comments about Donald Trump. Doesn't agree with Trump at all, and basically has said that they're going to stop purchasing Teslas for their fleet because of the alignment with the Trump campaign that Elon has openly admitted, and now in several different posts and media information. So that's the power of being out there with your beliefs. You're going to get some people that agree. You're going to get some people, in this case, that do not agree.
Now, I will hasten to point out that despite the 62,000 employees that they have and 4,700 branches, they only lease 800 vehicles. Less than 5% of them were Teslas to begin with. But it is difficult to have, these are undeniable things. We do know the statements that are on the record, and it's unfortunate. This is not going to make, a big impact. But one place I have seen a tangible impact with the political side, at least, and we're not talking politics here. Please, for the love of all that's holy, don't post that. We're talking about where some of these policies lead us, where Tesla sales have fallen the most in California. Did you know Tesla sales are down in California?
That is an interesting fact. Of course, EVs are the linchpin in the California transportation system. They have been for a while. I don't know how many times I've been to California. You can't stand anywhere without seeing a bunch of EVs whiz by you. So this is a bit concerning.
If not for EVs, what would Hondas bump into? It's very confusing to me, Mark. So here's Tesla sales going back 2 years. You can see growth, growth, growth. And then since 23 here, since Q1 of 23, down. Now, where would you have any guesses which counties are the most likely to have a dip?
That is an interesting question. I am not sure where that would be, but you're about to tell me.
Then I will save you. San Joaquin, Alameda, those two. So Alameda is the county in which the factory is located. That dip could be attributed to the fact that everyone there already has one. And I'm not joking. If you've ever been to the mothership, it's crazy. San Joaquin down a 33%. That's not great. Orange County and Santa Clara. So, and Fresno, I just think the population's down 22%. I've heard that it's not. I've heard that it's Fresno. No offense to my many viewers in Fresno. Congratulations on I don't know, on just everything. You guys are doing great. So it is sometimes you gotta, once you paint yourself into a corner, you gotta decide.
You were really furiously trying to paint yourself out of that corner.
I just stomped through it, man. These footprints are now on the carpet.
You guys are just great.
You're doing A+, my friends, A+. So this is open to interpretation. I would look at it and say some of those counties were already Tesla saturated. You could look at it in a political lens. I don't know if that's the right lens, but sales are down. Have you seen what do you have a take on it that I should pause for there?
There's an interesting thing that we've got this. Certainly California is saturated with EVs as compared to the rest of the country. In fact, the entire rest of North America. It's probably the most heavily saturated Tesla state there is. And you're right, there would be some point where it's oversaturation, where people just already own one or two or three, and they're just not buying another one. But there still is room to grow. So I'm not quite sure as to, does a couple of weeks make a trend? Don't know. We're certainly going to be watching this as time goes along and quarters pass by. But at this point, it is somewhat concerning.
Well, it's not a couple of weeks is the problem. It's now a year and a half trend. So I would say that, yeah, it could be a number of factors. And I've heard a lot of people say, well, I know people in red states who are now strongly considering buying a Tesla because of Elon's statements of his political support and beliefs. And to them, I would say all the superchargers are in these counties that I just mentioned. So it's going to be tough for them to actually adopt. And the polling for EV favorability among conservative voters is much lower. It's about 19% as opposed to 55% approve of electric vehicles. Makes it challenging, makes it an uphill battle. And because I'm all about data, I always say it's not enough for them to want to buy the vehicle. They have to actually buy it.
There you go. Yeah.
So how about Germany? Have you seen what's going on there? Because it is not ideal. Roland Percher at Pololi, who I've met in person, that was very interesting, is showing the German car sales by brand. Volkswagen's up a little, Mercedes down 10%, BMW up 4%, Audi down 15%, etc. Then we get over to Tesla and we see they are down 41% through the year. This isn't a week, this isn't a month, this isn't a quarter, this is 6 full months. Mm-hmm. January to July. So 7 months.
That kind of dovetails into another story I know we're not mentioning. I thought I'd introduce it though, that the Tesla Gigafactory, the plant manager made an announcement just yesterday stating that the expansion is going to be governed based on future sales and what the headwinds are. So this is not good for future expansion based on what you're showing here in a 6-month chart.
Yes, and I covered that on someone's show this week. Might have even been my own. I don't remember, but what it's saying, what they're saying is we can't expand because there's not enough demand, and they still have surplus capacity in the factory. I did have a comment responding to me on that post on the vehicle sales in Germany. Someone said, yes, but this only counts, sales. This is only one country. What does it matter? And I'd said to that, this is one of the very, very few countries that actually has a factory. And it's not just like a brief snapshot. It's over half a year. So this is notable. Worth adding some context here. EV subsidies had been quite generous. They are now quite gone. Model 3s now have a big import duty.
That's right.
Because they're manufactured abroad and specifically in China. And another one to note, I'll pull it back up here. A lot of these sales, none of these companies really, apart from Tesla, and I'd have to look, Polestar down 13%, but such small numbers, it barely matters. All of these are not pure EV companies, but companies that sell both. So if there is a shift, if the market is shifting because of the loss of the subsidy, it would make everyone go up except the pure electric plays. So that makes it tough.
Yep.
Another claim I saw was that, right, well, Tesla sales going down doesn't matter because all EV sales are down. And it doesn't appear that that's true. Global EV sales, second best month ever for plugins. Now I know plugins, that does include the hybrids, but fortunately this chart breaks it on down. The light green is battery. The dark green is hybrid. Tesla, BYD. I mean, there's a few BYDs on here. Li Auto, good job. But then you've also even got, and this is just for June, Volkswagen. Boy, this is really dominated by Chinese companies. And what was the one on here I was going to look at? I think it was the BYD Tang is on here. It's a brand new vehicle that already jumped in. Yeah. This one at number 19, mostly hybrid. And I didn't know what it was. So I went ahead and took a look. It's this car here. And got to tell you, that is some sweet Tang right there.
We're not seeing the picture of the car.
Oh, that I must be an astronaut because that is some sweet Tang. That's yeah. And then the other factor I had been told is that, well, all auto sales are down. But I went ahead and found the S&P Global report, and it says they're not. They're on track to increase 2 to 3% this year to over 90 million. And that's the high interest rates have not kept the sales away. Let's see, U.S. here, we see year-over-year change, barely any, but 0 to 1%. Even in the U.S., auto sales are up. So it's not just the whole world market tanking, it's parts of it. And it's,
I wouldn't say it's tanking, certainly, but it seems to be treading water somewhat, especially in the U.S. Like it's even if not a little bit higher.
Exactly. 0 to 1% higher. So then I thought, well, let's take a look at just the EV sales. And this is 2021 to 3. We knew that was happening. But in 2024, even in Q1 of 2024, sales were up 25% compared to Q1 of last year. So same quarter sales from the year before up 25%, while Tesla was down, which is discouraging, I would say.
But you also have to look at the volume that Tesla's producing compared to the rest of the EV market. Like the rest of them are relatively smaller numbers, sure.
Oh, for sure.
Together, okay. But as a single manufacturer, Tesla is blowing everyone out of the water when it comes to volume.
It goes Tesla, BYD, and then everyone else combined probably here.
Yeah.
But it's tough, man. It's tough. So The sales are not great. We are waiting for the Juniper refresh. We are waiting for the intermediate compact. We're waiting for 1010 and Robotaxi Day. What's it going to take to turn this around, Mark? We're running long. We need an answer from you. Help us out.
There's going to have to be a cheaper, more affordable car from Tesla that comes out in order to push this further and faster. We hear 2025. We'll have to see.
And the interest rate improvement could also help. And if you add to it a little tiny bit of additional cost of goods sold reduction, let's bring back just the rear-wheel drive version of everything. Why not? And as Cybertruck ramps and prices come down, that stands to improve volumes, I would say, appreciably. Guys, in the comments, what did we miss? What did we misunderstand? Are we losing our minds here? Yes, but that's not the important part. That's not the important part. We'll seek our own counseling for that. What I need from you is just some insights and some perspective. The video is where I hope to make you guys smarter, and the comments is where you get to make us smarter. And sometimes post completely off topic and irrelevant things, but that's okay too, I suppose. So everybody else, like, subscribe, do the usual. If it's not too much trouble, you could always leave a nickel or a bunch of them. A whole pile of nickels would be great, of support. It's how I'm able to go on the road. It's how I'm able to keep the volume up and not starve, which is wonderful. I mean, I could use to skip a meal or two, but my kids insist on eating, and I'm told that there's laws about that. So I'm going to go ahead and keep doing it. Everybody else, you know what you're doing. Stay tuned, stay juicy, and I cannot wait to hear from you clever robots tomorrow when we talk about the real reason people choose on purpose to buy a BuzzForks.